Hey everybody, I just got back from the big chain pet store. Popped in to see if they had anything interesting going on this week. They seldom ever get any new stock in. And to my delight, they had a gourami that I've never seen before. So in the bag there, you can see that orange fish is a red fire, thick lipped gourami. It's only supposed to get 2 inches. And then in the bag in the back, you can see an orange guppy. That's nothing special about that one. It's just a guppy that caught my eye. I like the way it looks, so can never have too many guppies. I went ahead and bought it, despite all of the guppies you see in this tank. So the reason we are looking at this, I normally don't like to show off my fish until they've been in the tank for a little bit and I know they're going to survive and acclimate and all that. But this is, in all honesty, a fish I brought home not really knowing where I was going to put it. I originally considered my gourami tank, but I've got my reasons for leaning away from that. We can talk about that later. Thought about maybe the living room tank, perhaps my wife's tank. And then I thought about this tank because I spend a lot of time in here and I spend a lot of time looking at this tank. I absolutely love this ram that's in here. And I don't know how the ram is going to react to the gourami. And so one of the things I wanted to do was allow the bag to float a while. Not only do I want to acclimate the fish to the warm tank here, because this tank is kept pretty warm. I have turned it down a little bit. I'm keeping it at 29 degrees right now, and I think I'm actually going to even turn it back to 28 degrees. But I did have it up at 31 for a little while, so it was a really warm tank. It's almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So I want to let the fish sort of acclimate for a few minutes to that. But more importantly, I want to see how the ram is going to respond to the gourami. Now, the gourami is responding about the way I wanted to see him respond. A little nervous, a little kind of jutting away, not freaking out and panicking, but also not showing signs of irritation or aggression. The ram is showing curiosity, but now that we're seeing a little bit of, he's been in there for a few minutes, we're seeing a little bit of possible aggression. That definitely seems like a little bit of aggression on the ram's part. So I think maybe this idea of putting the gourami in this tank might not be the best of ideas. And since I think if that ram was going to go ahead and be aggressive towards that gourami, I don't think it would take very long for it to become an issue. So even if I tried to wait till, tomorrow to maybe give it a day and see what happens, I don't know if the gourami would survive a day. Now, of course, once it's out of the bag, it would also be able to sort of hide and keep out of the way, and there's plenty of broken lines of sight. And obviously, the ram doesn't seem like he's overly aggressive. It almost seemed like a sort of introductory, this is my tank, you keep in your place, and we'll get along just fine kind of behavior. So now that I'm seeing that he's swimming away and just kind of doing its own thing again, maybe we won't have so much of an issue. But I'm going to give it a little while. I'm going to let it sit in there for another 15 or 20 minutes, let the temperature equilibrate. I will go ahead and take a little glass, or a lot of times you can even just simply just take the edge of the bag and just dip it down into the water a little bit, and slowly but surely you'll incorporate tank water into the bag water. Now I know a lot of people really shun the idea of putting the water that's in the bag, and they go through great lengths to get the fish out and leave the bag water in the bag and so on and so forth. I've never worried about that. Again, I've talked about it in other videos where I talk about quarantining and why I do and when I do and so on and so forth. My main concern that I would use for quarantine would be the concern about ick. There are other things to be concerned about, but by and large, ick is going to be the thing you're going to bring home from the big chain pet store that gave you problems or that infected your tank or something like that. And as I mentioned the other day, even with this tank temperature being lowered a little bit, it's still too hot for ick to survive. So if either of these fish do have ick or are contaminated with ick, or there is any ick in the water in those bags, it won't survive anyway. So I'm really just not that concerned about it. And then as far as, that being the case in other tanks, when I put them in there without really quarantining them, can't tell if it's my eyes or if the camera keeps going in and out of focus. As far as not quarantining them in other tanks, like I said, I'm just, it all just depends on the circumstances and the situations. I have shot videos about that in the past, and I probably will again in the future. So I'm going to keep my eye on these for just a little bit longer. I'm thinking it'll be okay, but we will have to wait and see. Again, I'm not seeing any signs of real aggression, more curiosity than anything. And this is also with the Gourami basically being trapped in that location. If that Gourami could simply swim away right now and dash into those fern right there, that would have been the end of that little confrontation. And even if that little confrontation was all we're going to see, that's not really that much of an issue. So I think we'll probably be okay. So look forward in the future to seeing this little Gourami in here. And, again, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But look forward to seeing it in here. I think we're going to give it a try. And then if I do notice, too much aggression, or the Gourami's constantly hiding and constantly trying to escape, the attention of the ram or something, we can always make other arrangements afterwards. I got plenty of tanks that Gourami could go in. I was thinking of 3 or 4 of them on the way home, just off the top of my head, that I could put it in. And then, of course, I have several others that I could put it in as well. So make sure you're subscribed, and you won't miss any of that or anything else I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me. So thanks again. Don't forget, this one is my office tank. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.